wants the mind of an angel and the mouth of a whore. She wants to please the Father with proclamations of her innocence and tease the sons with the possibility of her degradation. Some imagined sacrifice she dangles as a prize for any random stranger who knows the right words. In the month and a half she spent on my couch, her story came out in short bursts of sympathy and tequila. Expelled from the womb of a self-medicating manic depressive, raised by a rock god turned prophet and his tight-lipped bride of Christ, their rules were rigid and their love even less flexible. She is like every girl growing under the wrathful eye of God. She wants to believe in forgiveness and mercy, but she doubts that God will really follow through on all those hippie bullshit promises his son made. So she takes her big doubts down to that salsa bar on the corner. She grinds her hips against those Venezuelan boys with the feverish eyes. I'm just dancing, she tells herself. It doesn't mean anything. But the rumble of music is so hungry, it wants to devour that soft skin. It wants to consume blue eyes. Taste the sweat of lingering doubts. At 4 a.m., the bar crowd empties into the streets. Girls in short skirts with eyes like flint line up for the sidewalk sale, while the Mexicans in their Wranglers, one thumb tucked into their waistband, signal the dim parking lot lights with their glimmering monumental buckle belts. Negotiations for the goods have begun. She hurries to her car before the shadows can darken her footsteps. At home, in her twin-sized bed, she wraps herself in adolescent sheets. It is already Sunday morning, and on this Sabbath, she will seek forgiveness with heavy eyes and unwashed hair, still reeking of cigarettes, hoping the communion wine will absolve the flavor of salt and lime on her seeker's tongue, and the funeral procession of hymns will finally silence the undeniable rhythms and make her questioning heart deaf for all time. This is called Breakfast with John Wayne. When the phone rings at 9, I can hear it in her voice. She hasn't slept in days. And the rush of words comes tumbling in some tangled heap. She was just thinking about that time that I got drunk on Chardonnay and rolled down the grassy hill behind her house with Sadie, her neurotic black lab. And, oh yeah, George called from New York yesterday. And maybe, just maybe, her mother has been hiding some horrible family secret for 40 years. She really isn't sure. And by the way, she's starving. I say I'll pick her up for breakfast in half an hour. I have learned to appreciate this manic exuberance because in a few days, she may disappear again. Breakfast at the family diner is one of our rituals. Coffee for both of us and cigarettes for me. She carries her carefully tended black journal, and I have my messy notebook with frayed bits of torn margin filling up the silver spirals. The waitress recognizes my friend and says hello. This diner is one of her insomnia temples. We ordered a special. 2 eggs, hash browns, bacon, biscuits, and gravy for only $2.99. It comes with a side of heartburn at no extra charge. We are eating greasy food and writing poetry under the watchful eye of Rooster Cogburn. I'm raise my cup of coffee in homage to Mr. Wayne. In deference, I tip the brim of my imaginary Stetson, Pilgrim. She laughs at my stupid jokes, which is one of the reasons I keep her around. But you see, Mr. Wayne and I are kindred spirits of a sort. Although I'm sure he never lived with a gay hairstylist or developed an obsession with quantum physics. But he was one tough son of a bitch, and so am I. He might have killed 50 men with one bullet, but I survived the year of getting dumped. Boyfriend, parents, car, job, one by one, they all broke up with me and blew up. And I just stood there, getting covered with the falling debris of one lousy excuse after another. You see, I would have preferred them to be truthful with me. Hey, listen, really, it's not us. It is you. Really, it is you. Hours pass, and we are still drinking coffee and pushing the last cold pieces of breakfast around our plates when the lunch crowd jostles in. Men in Wranglers and red soil-bathed work boots pushing up the bills of sweat-stained caps. They study the menu intently, then order the same thing they had yesterday and probably the day before. Chicken fried steak, mashed potatoes, green beans and corn with a hot roll, and a diabetic home a sweet glass of iced tea. They joke with the bouffanted waitress who knows them all by name. I stop writing for a moment so that I can eavesdrop on this delegation of blue-collar philosophers to debate the day's topics. I learned that the government is screwing things up again. Their boss is a jerk. And what the hell is wrong with whichever celebrity is currently on trial for any variety of sins or indiscretions? Who cares if they lack the sophistication of CNN pundits? This is the democracy of the greasy spoon, where a man can give his opinion no matter how uninformed it is. And it may just be one of the last free places on earth. Now I can see why John Wayne is the patron saint of the family diner. Love him or hate him, he was what he was. No apology.